All right. Welcome back to the channel. We've got big fight coming up this weekend with Jaron Ennis versus David Avenetian. And then just two short weeks after that, we have Terence Bud Crawford versus Ismail Madmarov. And I do believe shortly after that, we'll be getting an announcement about Errol Spence Jr. and a fight coming up with him and Sebastian Fundora. This reigniting the conversation that was taking place for the last few years about the two best 147 pounders, three best 147 pounders, and the potential for the three of them to fight each other. Terence Crawford, in that regard, though, made a statement that I did not expect about Errol Spence Jr. and the fact that Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. very well may be planning a unification fight at 154 pounds. Who would have thunk it? Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. And in this video, Terence Crawford has something to say about Errol Spence Jr. Jaron Ennis has something to say about Terence Crawford. And boxing fans could be very much treated to an excellent back half of 2024 with these three tremendous fighters focusing on each other. Well, seems like two are focusing on each other and the third is trying to figure out how to get his foot in the door. That third being Jaron Ennis. But Terence Crawford said in an article that is in an interview that is quoted by Forbes magazine. This article came out. The article came out yesterday afternoon, and it was entitled "Terence Crawford Explains Steps Needed to Set Up Errol Spence Rematch." Now, before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much. It means an immense amount to the channel. Thank you for chopping up with me, listening to me give my opinion about boxing over these 8-minute or so videos. Terence Crawford made it clear to me, this is the article, that his primary focus is on Ismail Madmarov, whom he'll face on August 3rd at the BMO Center in Los Angeles. Make sure you guys go get your tickets. This is also going to be on pay-per-view, so definitely buy the pay-per-view. However, when I had an opportunity to speak with him on Wednesday, July 10th, I had to ask him about a potential rematch with Errol Spence. The possibility is there, Crawford said. Speaking of Spence, fighting Sebastian Fundora for his titles, the WBO and the WBC. I'm fighting for a title. Madmarov's WBA regular 154-pound title. I don't like the way that this author phrased that. The WBA, it should be doesn't matter because the WBA Super Championship, I think, is vacant, but it's the WBA World title. And there is the possibility he wins his fight, God willing, and I win my fight, God willing. And there's the possibility. Now, if you guys don't think that is without a doubt the plan, I think you're missing something. This statement by Terence Crawford, though, does update a few things. One is that he is saying that Errol Spence Jr. is fighting for the WBO title and the WBC title for Sebastian Fundora. That Errol's going to get a chance at that unification. Now, why would that be important? That would be important because that's a little bit of a change than what was said by the WBO when the WBO had originally ordered Terence Crawford to fight Tim Tszyu. And then when Tim Tszyu lost to Sebastian Fundora, they still wanted Terence Crawford to fight for the WBO championship as the WBO super champion. But what they did is they allowed Terence Crawford to fight Madmarov for an interim title for the WBO and the WBA world championship, which is what a lot of people call the regular championship. But I'm sorry, man, I get into so many arguments with people about those particular belts that I think it's really important to call it the WBA World Championship as opposed to the WBA Super World Championship, because those are the names of the titles. But regardless, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence is going to be fighting for the full WBC and the full WBO against Sebastian Fundora, while Terence Crawford is fighting for the WBA. And I think that the only belt there would be that is then hanging out there is the IBF. But that is a very fast fight to get 3 belts together in 2 fights, one with Errol and Sebastian, and then the WBA with Madmarov and Crawford. That's a 3-belt unification fight if Terence Crawford wins, which he should, and Errol Spence Jr. wins, which, man, I'm going to tell you, that's a lot more dubious task right there. Cannot lie to you. Significantly more dubious task for Errol Spence Jr. against Sebastian Fundora than it is Terence Crawford versus Ismail Madmarov. And the reason that I say that is obviously because of the wear and tear on Errol Spence, the size and just tenacity of Sebastian Fundora. I think I'm going to still favor Errol to win that fight. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I think Tim Tszyu was going to get Sebastian Fundora out of there if Sebastian Fundora had not cut Tim Tszyu on the top of the head, and that overhand right was just landing and landing and landing for Tim Tszyu. And also, I do believe that it was I think it was a left hook that landed from Brian Mendoza that wound up knocking down Sebastian Fundora. However, again, this is the first fight at 154 pounds for Errol, and Sebastian Fundora is a legitimately tough fighter, being 6'7", or what's he, 6'5", 6'6", whatever he is ridiculously tall for 154 pounds, very, very long and very, very active. But I see that if Errol gets past that, I can see those two guys wrapping it up one more time, Errol and Terence. Errol said he wanted his get back, wanted to run it back. He would have taken a year off. Over a year off, and then had another fight before he went back in there with Terence. I don't know if the outcome is going to be different. I think that the outcome very, very well may be the same. However, probably with a little less, with a little bit more fight for Errol. But at the end of the day, if you get those 3 belts together, somehow you get that IBF. Please forgive me for not knowing the status of the IBF right off the top of my head. Then you have Jaron Ennis, who, after he has a couple title defenses in the meantime, could easily move up and go and fight the winner of that for an undisputed title or close to an undisputed title at 154 pounds. So really good things coming up over the next 6 months, over the next 12 months, 18 months for the 154 pound division and the 147 pound division, which are basically my favorite area in boxing. But anyway, just wanted to update you on that. Again, Terence Crawford said that it is very much a possibility if Errol gets his hands on that WBO and the WBC, and he gets his hands on that WBA, that these guys could very, very well make it pop. And I'm all for it. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.